I think what really grabs my attention from horror makeup and special effects makeup is just the transformation aspect of it. Having a blank canvas and seeing what best fits them. It's like trying to figure out this like puzzle you're trying to design on them. It's a whole process. I've done a little bit of everything so far. Music videos, fashion shows, commercial work. I've done film, and I worked at Dark Harbor for about 9 years in total. It would have been 10, but COVID. I had an interest with spooky stuff before Dark Harbor. When I first saw the little monsters, watching it as a kid, it was magical. It was colorful. I was just like, man, that's exactly what I want to do. But of course, my sexuality kind of got in the way because I didn't want, people to find out that I was gay at the time. My mom used to sell Mary Kay when I was younger. My mom would, come back home and she would be like, where's my liner? Where's my top to this? Where's my top to that? And she knew. When I came out, I wanted to be like this head lead hairstylist, doing celebrity hair, and that's what I thought that I was going to do. I had a partner when I went to cosmetology school, and he was absolutely amazing at makeup, and I had asked him if he can teach me, and he said no. Till this day, I don't know why he wouldn't teach me. So I would walk to CVS, Walmart, and I would purchase makeup, sit my ass down, watch the YouTube video, and I would watch it, pause it, try it. Watch it, pause it, try it. Over and over and over until I felt comfortable applying it to my services. And they would be like, hey, can I get a trim? I would be like, yeah, girl. For $5 more, I can do your shadow. I did that for about 2 to 3 years until I started to grow some balls and was like, you know what? Let me get out there. So I changed my whole career from like hair to like full on makeup. When I first started working for MAC Cosmetics, which was back in 2012, that was the year that I started with Dark Harbor. And that's where I want to say my life just changed. It was definitely a challenge for me my first year. I came in not knowing like what airbrush was, what cream colors were, what water activated makeups were. I didn't know anything about nothing. That lit up a fire under my ass. And that was like, all right, Jay, you want to learn? This is your chance to learn. Close. I feel very lucky. At that time, I was lost. I was still trying to find myself. I was still trying to see what I was meant to do, And here I stumbled upon a haunt that had all kinds of artists, and I ended up learning different things from different people. And now I feel like it's time for me to fly and to start, another chapter. Which now I want to dive in more into production and get into union one day and do bigger projects and watch, one day watch my work on the big screen. I'm ready to fight the fight, and I'm not going to give up.
I always view art as sort of an amalgamation of everything that's ever inspired us. Growing up, it was always, Looney Tunes and Cartoon Network and comic books and everything. So I like things that are really colorful and really strange and really, almost animated and exciting. I'm Brian Phillips. I'm an artist and designer behind Swell Guy Customs, and I specialize in custom sneakers. So I originally got into custom sneakers kind of by happenstance. I kind of just fell into my lap. I had always been doing like art my whole life, but just kind of doodling in a notebook. But then in college, I kind of really got into it. And I learned like digital art and Photoshop and was able to start doing like graphic design stuff. But then one year for Christmas, I was shopping around trying to figure something out for my brother. And I came across this article about how athletes get their custom sneakers or their custom cleats and things like that. And there's these artists all over the world that hand paint it for them. And I just kind of had like this light bulb moment. I'll give them a pair of unique sneakers that nobody else has. And then I spent like the next month making them, and we took photos of them, posted them online, and they got a pretty good response. And that's kind of when I had a moment of like, oh, maybe I have something here. It's a lot of work, you're not just painting on a flat surface. It's a three-dimensional object, and there's layers of material that you're working with, and anything could go wrong at any time. There's a lot of improvising as you're doing it. There's a lot of like changing things as you go. On average, I'd say it probably takes me about a good week to finish a pair of shoes if that's all I'm working on for that week, and if the design is like pretty straightforward. But the whole process front to back could take over a month from, brainstorming and figuring out the design. Sometimes I need to see it visually, so I'll put together a mock-up on Photoshop. If I'm painting something very detailed, if I'm doing something really realistic, that's gonna take even more time. I paint all day out of my bedroom, and if I need to do any airbrushing, I go to my bathroom where I have a little makeshift airbrush station, just fit in like 5 feet of space. It's like an easy way to mix paint especially if you're doing something like this and you need like to slowly gradient it to a color. You need to mix this color to the next color. You just put a little bit in and it's funny how all the times I've been filmed painting shoes, never had anybody in my bathroom paint. This is like the one space where I'm always like, not a lot of people know that I like airbrush out of my bathroom. Over the last 5 years, I'd probably say I've painted, I would say over 100, maybe even more. I've worked with like Republic Records, and I got to work with their artists, their music artists. So being able to just like to do something specifically based on music artist styles and music, that was awesome. I never knew that there was a world of art and a world of fashion and a world of people that like wanted that kind of thing. And I get it, like I totally get it. These are hand-painted, unique things. It's a cool cross between art and fashion. Like you get to take it with you everywhere. Your art gets mileage, and it's kind of cool. It was definitely eye-opening. I was not into the sneaker culture before my brother and before I did those, and now I'm like heavily engulfed in it for better or for worse. But it's cool. It's a very interesting world. There's my check. You're a star.
80 to 90% of donut shops in California are owned by Cambodians. The shops were a way for the first generation of people to find economic security with their families. And so they have a big importance for like across generations. And I wanted to immortalize that through a donut pipe. I'm Vanderlyn Vong. I'm a first-generation Cambodian American. I create ceramic donut pipes. I take a lot of inspiration from Granny's Donuts, which is the shop I grew up around, and I was like, well, I want to make a dozen. Like, I want a baker's dozen. And so, yeah, I've been sticking with it since then and creating new flavors out of the glazes I use. What gets me in the zone while I'm creating is music. I listen to Cambodian rock and other oldies, and that helps me retain the language as I continue to create. Like, I don't have my ancestors, and so keeping that connection with them now is really important to me. And I found that the Cambodian rock really helps me stay in tune. It's kind of like how a DJ needs to stay on beat. I'm collaborating and dancing with the clay on the wheel. I got started in ceramics about a year ago, and the purpose was to start fundraising for the Long Beach Southeast Asian Anti-Deportation Collective. 40% of those proceeds go to the collective. I think since I was young, I've had an interest in politics because as a Cambodian person, I felt like we're just not represented or known. And then after working on some political campaigns, I was aware that ICE was going to ramp up deportations in, I want to say like 2018, and I wanted to find a way to use my art for a good cause. I chose to make it a pipe because of the functionality of it, but also I wanted it to stand in direct contrast to the war on drugs and how we've been criminalized for using marijuana. The characteristics of Cambodian ceramics. There's more of a focus on the form itself as opposed to the glazing, and then connected to that, getting to the form through multiple techniques. So they might create something on the wheel and then detail the surface by hand. And so it's a lot of surface decoration and manipulation of form and combining techniques from the wheel or off the wheel. I feel like I'm kind of swimming like back to my roots or finding them again in terms of the techniques that our ancestors were using. It gives me a glimpse into what our way of life might have been before colonization. It's now become a lifelong journey, and I'm very humbled and grateful to learn from the clay and learn how my ancestors were working with it and imagine what their way of life might have been and how working with clay might have been healing for them. I'm Vanderlyn Vong. I am an artist who works with clay and also an organizer.